Why did Twitter ban Donald Trump? It's a good question. After a close review of recent tweets from Donald Trump account and the context around them, specifically how they are being received and interpreted on and off Twitter, we have permanently suspended the account due to the risk of further incitement of violence. In the context of horrific events this week, we made it clear on Wednesday that additional violations of the Twitter rules would potentially result in this very course of action. Public interest framework exists to enable the public to hear from elected officials and world leaders directly. It is built on a principle that the people have a right to hold power to account in the open. However, we made it clear that going back years that these accounts are not above our rules entirely, cannot use Twitter to incite violence, among other things. We will continue to be transparent around our policies and their enforcement. Below is a comprehensive analysis of our policy enforcement approach in this case. So that's a lot of interesting information there. So that's Twitter's response. Let's look into what actually was said by the president. On January 8th, 2021, President Donald J. Trump tweeted, 75 million great American patriots who voted for me, America first, and make America great again, will have a giant voice long into the future. They will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any way, shape, or form. Shortly thereafter, the president tweeted, to all those who have asked, I will not be going to the inauguration on January 20th. Due to the ongoing tensions in the United States, an uptick in the global conversation in regards to the people who violently stormed the Capitol on January 6th, these two tweets must be read in the context of broader events in the country and the ways in which the president's statements can be mobilized by different audiences, including to incite violence, as well as in the context of the pattern of behavior from this account in recent weeks. After assessing the language in these tweets against our glorification of violence policy, we have determined these tweets are in violation of the GOV policy, and the user should be immediately, permanently suspended from the service. Now, it's kind of dubious to me that they called this, they banned Donald Trump over the glorification of violence policy. Reading a statement again, 75 million great American patriots, America first, make America great again, who will have a giant voice long in the future. They will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any way, shape, or form. I don't hear any violence in that. I would ask you guys to look at what he's saying. And to all those who have asked, I will not be going to the inauguration on January 20th. This is a funny thing to think about, not going to the inauguration. Did this upset the left, big media, big tech, so much? Did this rob them of a moment where they could make fun of the president, that they lost out on the chance to meme him? That's worth considering. But again, I don't hear any violence. I don't hear any calls for violence. I think what he said is very important. There are 75 million patriots who feel like they were robbed during this election. America first, make America great again. That's not violent language. If they can ban Donald Trump over such a flimsy excuse, they're coming for everyone else next. With this excuse to ban stuff for violence, you could literally use that to shape free speech in this country. Now, as I'm recording this, I'm watching a video of police literally opening the door and welcoming protesters into the Capitol.
They're gonna lock us in.
You can disagree with it, but respect it.
Come on.
Get him in hell. It's my motherfucking house. Fuck the traitors! Get inside now. It's crazy. There's Trump!
Now, this was such an egregious event that caused all this, the banning of Trump, what looks to be the big push in tech, big tech, to censor people because of violence. Now, this may come off as something of kind of an outlandish thing, but if police are literally opening the door and welcoming protesters in the Capitol, and you have politicians on the left saying that it was a security failure and the worst event in American history and darkest day, as Joe Biden put it, how easy would it be to throw a couple of red hats on some people you paid, tend to be Trump supporters, and to go out there and storm, I put that in quotation marks, the Capitol? Now, am I saying that this is what happened? No, I'm just saying that it's in the realm of possibility. Should be questioned. If they're so intent on using violence to ban everything, it's going to be abused. It's going to be abused to a great extent. I want to continue to be able to ask these questions. I'm not a conspiracy theorist for looking at a video like that and saying, what's really going on here? Question everything. The Ayatollah of Iran, who has repeatedly called for literal genocide against Jews, is currently being promoted by Twitter. They really don't care about violence. It's just another tool for them. Ted Cruz, somebody I'm going to support until he really messes up, because I think he's got the organization abilities and the national profile to actually run a successful campaign. Response to Sean Davis: big tech's purge, censorship, and abuse of power is absurd and profoundly dangerous. If you agree with tech's current biases, Iran good, Trump bad, ask yourself what happens when you disagree. Why should a handful of Silicon Valley billionaires have a monopoly on political speech? Well, they love to argue about the free market, and you can't force Twitter to support your political views or even promote them or host them. But really, a lot of the discourse in this country is happening digitally. Whether we keep up with the technology or we make them public utilities, I don't know. I don't really have the answer for that. For me, being is an advocate of as least government as possible, it's kind of absurd that idea even comes to mind. The idea that we could publicly regulate Twitter and other online services as public utilities is very, very much against those ideals. So there's no real easy answer to any of this. So I'll just ask you, was it violent protest to overthrow legal election that happened on January 6th? Or was it a reaction and protest over being able to rightfully question what's really happening in this country? Are those questions we will be allowed to ask ourselves in the future? I'm setting up I'm setting up social media profiles on Gab and Minds right now. If you want to follow me there, I'm going to go by Mecca or Mecca Supreme on either of those. Mecca Supreme on Minds, and I'm trying to set up my Gab right now. I do have a Parler. I'll get back to you on what that's called, as I have to dig through bunch of emails to find out what happened to it. I tried it out back in the summer. Didn't really like it, but I don't think we have a choice anymore. It's Saturday. I wanted to make a video. It's a little different from my usually produced stuff. Mostly just talking off the cuff, hopefully making some sense. I encourage you to question everything. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next video.